When I woke up this morning, I wasn't necessarily expecting to bring you a review of a cowboy movie. A cowboy movie called Outlaw Johnny Black. A cowboy movie called Outlaw Johnny Black, directed and written by Michael Jai White. A cowboy movie called Outlaw Johnny Black, written by Michael Jai White, and is actually kind of a comedy as well. I wasn't expecting to do any of those things, but right now I'm about to do all of those things. My name is Kevin Halden, this is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home for all of your news, reviews and exclusive interviews. Today we are not talking wrestling, today we are talking movies again. Thank God, I love being in my movie bag, and that's what I am in. But this movie, holy crap, I was not expecting this. I put this on after seeing the cover and having little to no expectations, but you know what, sometimes you can be surprised by a movie like this, and when you've got Michael Jai White in there, it's got to have something to it. Dude was Spawn, for Christ's sake. But please do, before we get into the review, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and ding that notification bell. If you do all that, it really helps the algorithm and lets people know who we are, where we are, what we are, and what we are about. And that's what matters to us. It's what should matter to you. And when you push out to those people who are about to find us, it's what will matter to them. And they can watch all the videos down below of all the good shit we've watched in the past. Pimpage done? Let's get into Outlaw Johnny Black.
I've been trying to tell y'all Brett Clayton's coming to rob your bank.
Listen up and shut up!
And I came to put a bullet in him.
My name is Johnny Black. I am no gentleman and I am no preacher.
I thought I would join you for breakfast. Hallelujah.
That man is not what he pretends to be. Didn't the Bible say to turn the other cheek?
I don't know. I mean, probably. Yeah.
I said stop.
Stop me. But it also said you could hit a bully with a slingshot. And this here's mine.
And as Randy would say to my reviews, there is a formula. There is a very simple formula. I like to talk about the plot of the movie. I'll try not to do any spoilers, but I might step on a couple. And then I like to talk about the cast and the crew of the movie. Then I like to get into what I did and didn't like about the movie. And then we will talk about my final Nerdly Out Loud rating. Again, it's my rating, not the rating of Nerdly on the whole. But you can kind of just take mine to the bank because I'm the best and that's what it is. I do give awesome ratings. People do say I give good rating. That didn't sound right. I said it now. So Outlaw Johnny Black stars Michael Jai White as the titular Johnny Black. The movie starts and he's already kind of into his outlaw ways. The story's already a little bit of the way through. He's going town to town. He's become a bit of an outlaw in the process, but he's after a cowboy called Brett Clayton. Brett Clayton is one of the most known outlaws out there, and Johnny Black wants to kill him. You would think that's a good thing. Not really, because people are after him. But then we find out through flashbacks that it turns out Brett Clayton killed his preacher dad. Right in front of the whole town, right in front of Johnny Black. He just shot him down dead, and it wasn't very nice. We find this out in a flashback. After nearly being captured, he's saved by a group of natives and ends up escaping this town, running off, and in the process, he bumps into Reverend Percy. Reverend Percy is this really cool character who is on his way to a town where the local priest has just been killed. Kind of a thing in westerns, I guess. It happens a lot. So he's going there because their preacher has just been killed and he has been liaising with the dead preacher's wife. And now he wants to go and meet her because he thinks she's going to be tidy and he wants to be the priest of that town and get with her. Little bit nefarious, but you know what? It's a western with Michael Jai White, so we're just going to roll with it. The two of them meet. He tells Johnny Black the story of what he's going to do. The next morning, they are attacked by some Indians. And Johnny Black manages to escape, but it looks like Reverend Percy is dead. So what does Johnny Black do? You guessed it, he takes the place of Reverend Percy. So now he's going to go to the town where the preacher's just died, and he's going to pretend he's been liaising with the preacher's wife and try and knock boots, I guess. and then obviously steal the church money, and he's got this whole plan, and that's going to happen. But what we get when he gets there is a little bit of hilarity, because obviously he has to try and pretend. Nobody really believes who he actually is. She does, though, and it turns out she is a bit of a sex kitten. So, dude's up for a bit of a fun time. In the meantime, Reverend Percy wakes up the next morning. He is not dead. He had a Bible, and the arrow got stuck in the Bible. I'm sure there's some sort of meaning in there, but that's what happens. There's this whole little scene which kind of didn't really need to happen, but it was funny, so I'll take it. You know, one thing I will say is that this movie is kind of like Blazing Saddles, written by the Wayans brothers, in a way. I mean, it's a lot classier than that, but in a way. So he ends up going back to the town. There's this whole thing where the two of them have to sort of combine forces, because he wants this girl, he wants this girl, they want them out of the town, he wants to steal the church money, he wants to kill the outlaw. There's this whole cockamamie shenanigans thing. I am not going to go too much more into it. Let's talk about the cast and the crew. And right up front, Outlaw Johnny Black. Michael Jai White he's really cool. He's excellent in this film. We've seen him do comedy before. We haven't seen him do a lot of comedy before, but we've seen him do comedy before. And he also is on writing duties here. And I think that's where this movie lives. Absolutely lives in the dialogue, in the story, because it's not taking itself serious at all. Johnny Black as a character is taken serious, but the story itself isn't taken too serious. We can have fun and hijinks with this story. Johnny Black is going to be the guy to take us through it, and while a lot of the hilarity comes from him, it's more of a dry sense of hilarity, where the joke is sometimes on him, not necessarily with him. You know, it's a strange one, but I really do love the way Michael Jai White played this character. He's brilliant. And Byron Minns is in there playing Reverend Percy. I don't know much about Byron Minns, but I loved Reverend Percy. And clearly he's written himself some of the best lines. And when they start doing the religious stuff, oh, by the way, there's a lot of religious undertones in this movie. And I think it works because they kind of commit to that, and they don't use it as the joke. It's a joke, but it's not the joke. They're not taking the piss out of religion, but they are kind of poking a little bit of fun at it in a way, while dealing with all the obvious racial undertones. We're going to deal with that as well. And the way they deal with that is just, it's subtle, it's nuanced. It's great because it gave me a real sense of what was going on here and what these writers and this director were trying to tell us. But Byron Minns is wonderful. The two female leads of this movie, who are both pretty badass, both kick-ass, is Anika Noni Rose and Erica Ash as Jessie Lee and Bessie Lee, respectively. Now, Bessie Lee is a little bit of a, shall we say, good time girl? Not too much of one, but when Johnny Black gets to town, all she can think about is, you know, riding bareback, and why wouldn't you? It's Michael Jai White. But he kind of takes an eye for Bessie Lee's sister, Jessie Lee, who is Anika Noni Rose, who is a very strong, really kind of badass, gets her point across, isn't taken the piss out of. So there you have a woman of colour playing a cowboy badass role. Like, how often do we get that nowadays? Yeah, it's a little bit of a comedy, but she is absolutely firing on all cylinders in this movie. Erica Ash's Bessie Lee gets some of my favourite lines in the whole film. Randy Couture of UFC and MMA fame. I mean, I know he's doing acting now, and he was in the Expendables movies. I think he's definitely in Expendables 4. I think he was in 3, possibly in 2. But yeah, he's all up in here, and it's kind of just like when Stone Cold decided he was going to act for a while. Like, he put in reasonable performances, nothing too much to write home about, but he's good at what he does. And in this film, it's kind of, because it's a Western, and he's playing a gunslinger, a bit of a hardcore kind of guy, he gets away with it. And then good old Barry Bostwick, Quick and the Dead, Gene Hackman, Outlaw Johnny Black, Barry Bostwick. Both the same kind of actor, sort of. Both the same kind of role, sort of. Both really good. I really like Barry Bostwick in this. He doesn't have a lot to do, but when he pops up, he's committed to the role and he gives it everything. So that's all you can ask for in an actor like Barry Bostwick. Just give us a good little performance that, you know, is quirky, but not too funny and not too over the top. And that's what we get with Barry Bostwick. In terms of what I did and didn't like, it's a bit of a strange one, because this is one of those movies, like, comedy's hard. Comedy is always, always hard to do. And especially when you're making a Western comedy, and you're dealing with the issues you're dealing with, you know, race and religion, and you've got that peppered in there. Michael Jai White is able to make it just serious enough, and just sort of like on the line that we can laugh and have a good time. And I'll be honest with you, this is probably the most I've laughed at a movie in quite a long time. Like the nods to the Sergio Leone movies, the good, the bad, the ugly. The soundtrack is really cool. A little mixture of some of those old school cowboy westerns and then new school kind of punk retro synth kind of things. Like it's an amalgamation of a lot of different things, and it all really works. There wasn't one moment where the soundtrack pulled me out. If anything, it just kind of grabbed me by the nuts and said, hey, come on in. It's nice and warm in here. I think my only downside is that this is a Michael Jai White movie. And yes, I know he's directing and I know he's writing, but when I see Michael Jai White's name on a poster or on a box, I want to see some real punchy, kicky stuff. Now, it is a Western, so you can't really throw that in there too much, but it would have been nice to get just a little bit of it. Just a little bit of punchy, kicky goodness. I like seeing him throw his fists, throw his feet, and that's what I love about Michael Jai White. That's what made me want to watch this movie. But then when I was like 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, actually, this is like a Western kind of comedy kind of thing. We ain't going to get none of that punchy, kicky stuff. I made my bones with it, and I got on with it. It's a little bit of a negative for me because I want to see him do that, but I'm not going to pull it down too much because of that. No chance. And I am going to give a little bit of extra kudos, because this movie's like 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It doesn't necessarily need to be 2 hours and 10 minutes long, you know, for like a cowboy comedy. So it doesn't really need to be that long, but it didn't feel like it was 2 hours and 10 minutes long. Are there scenes you could have maybe like cut down a little bit or dropped completely? Yeah, there are. But to be honest, it wouldn't have changed anything. You still get the movie for what it is. You know, you get the jokes, you get what it's about, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, my final rating, it's pretty obvious that I really enjoyed this. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. Wanted to give it a 5, definitely wanted to give it a 5, but I'll be completely honest, it's a selfish reason that I'm giving it a 4. I want to see more. I want to see Michael Jai White do more of this, or more akin to this. Not too much more of this, but more akin to it. Like, and I know he's directed these kind of films before, and he's starred in these kind of comedies before, but this, for me, it could easily be the jumping off point of a cool-ass trilogy, or just a cool-ass franchise that he doesn't necessarily have to be in or to direct, but he could be part of, and I would love to see that. Like, let's build this whole Western multiverse of Outlaw Johnny Blacks. Like, let's do it, let's go for it, get Walton Goggins in there as the bad guy next time, and let's do it. But yes, absolutely, you have got to check this movie out. You will love it. Michael Jai White is fantastic. The rest of the cast is fantastic. Script is spot on. You will laugh your ass off right the way through. Like I say, I never stopped laughing. I missed a couple of jokes the first time because I was just laughing too much, and I was just having too much of a giggle, too much fun, and that's on me. So I had to go back and rewatch it again, and then you pick up some other jokes, and then it's only really once you know the full scope of the movie and you go back and watch it, those things that went over your head the first time, you will catch them the second time. But yes, please do watch the movie, and also do all those amazing things that we always ask, and that is to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and ding that notification bell. It all helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it gets us seen by people who maybe wouldn't see us. So do all that. If you can't do all that, just tell a friend, tell a family member, tell somebody in the street that you don't even know. Tell someone you hate. Like, if you want them to like really suffer through one of my reviews, tell someone you hate about this show. Don't really know if I'm selling myself there, but yeah, just tell people. That's all I'm trying to say. Outlaw Johnny Black, 4 out of 5. Michael Jai White, superb.